Hello, everyone. This is Women Talk Construction, and I'm Angela Gardner, one of your co hosts, and I'm here with Christy Powell, my co host.
Hey,
How are you doing today, Christy?
good. How are you, Angela?
I'm great. And we have yet another incredible guest with us today, don't we?
Yes.
Misha, with the CEO of TriCore Panels. And we're going to open this up with our icebreaker. And this one, we're actually going to talk about events that are coming up. And
hmm
she has a really special one coming up on March the 9th. And so, Misha, why don't you open it up and tell us more about this event?
Yeah, thanks, Angela. Thanks, Christy, for having me on the show. I'm super excited to be
Absolutely.
here. You are both amazing rock stars and incredible powerhouses in our industry. So I appreciate you both for making this happen. I'd love to touch on the event that we're hosting at TriCore Panels. So just a little bit about me. I'm Misha Homara, currently CEO of TriCore Panels and also president of WCOE California. And Women in Construction Week is a week that's super near and dear to my heart. And for our celebration for this year, we're going to be hosting an event called Plant and Play. And that's going to be hosted on March 9th at our headquarters in Santa Clara, California. We're partnering with a nonprofit organization called the Celebration Nation, and their main focus is to help farm workers and their families with resources such as food, education, clothing, etc. And so we're going to be partnering with them that day. Tricor will be Tricor will be showing all of our participants how to use our design programs such as AutoCAD. They're going to be
Nice.
designing a panel that's going to be turned into a planter box. So they'll see we have the largest CNC machine in the Bay Area. So they'll get to see that in action while it cuts and routes the aluminum panels. And then they'll be able to actually fabricate and put together this planter box. While Celebration Nation will be coming in and teaching about food sustainability and just the importance of knowing what we're eating, and also teaching us how to grow certain foods. So you'll get to actually put some soil and seeds in the box that you're going to be making out of ACM. So it's a really fun way just to kind of get to know a little bit of the construction industry. A big part of our mission is to build a successful future together. And so that means not only our projects, but our communities. So this event will
hmm
really be a time where we can kind of get to know like who's in this network. And I really encourage anyone that can attend to sign up and join us.
Gosh, I wish I could be there. It
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
like an amazing event. I love the fact that most of the people that we have on our podcast are very focused on the community and helping others. And Misha, you're a great example of that. You've been doing that since I met you, which was what, 2, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while now. Me being part of WCOE, Women Construction Owners and Executives, that's where we met the first
Yeah.
time. It was a pretty amazing day that day. But we love what you're doing for the community. It's not just this particular event. You're always reaching out to the community and finding ways to support others, and we love that. Angela and I are really big
Yeah.
proponents of serving the community. We feel like it actually makes our jobs better and it makes our heart happier. So that makes a better employee as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you encourage that obviously by having your event at your Tricor plant panels plant. You're obviously being a great influence on your employees to also be serving the community as well. So thank you for that. So we want to get into a little bit more about what you're doing for the community. And one of the other things that is really a big focus of yours is getting the kids involved and learning about the construction industry. Tell us just a few things that you're doing with that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, a little bit more about like what we're doing as a company. So we're a subcontractor, just to give everyone that's listening like insight about who we are. And we specialize in designing, fabricating, and installing all different types of architectural panel systems for commercial projects. So one of our team members, she says, anything that has a screw in it, we can, install it. So that's what
Nice.
I kind of like to say. And what we are doing currently is we really get involved with our future leaders, which reaches the youth. So we've partnered with a program called ACE. It's the Architecture, Construction, and Engineering Mentorship Program that works with underprivileged schools. So there's a few schools in our network. There's 3 high schools that we work with. Last year we spent about 30 hours going and working with them to actually plan a project from like start to finish, where it comes to site planning, permitting, designing, coming up with materials, a plan, um, proposals, all this kind of stuff. So it's really cool kind of spending time with these kids who don't really get exposure to people in our industry very often, and helping them kind of push this project through. They have a panel of judges they present it to. So it's a really cool and unique opportunity. And I'm just so grateful that my team also really believes in this. So my team has come with me multiple times, right, as volunteers to
Nice.
talk about like estimating, for example. And one of the foremen came once and was explaining kind of their day to day, and gives these kids an opportunity to speak to people that they typically wouldn't really get the opportunity to do so. So that's been really, really wonderful. We actually hosted a intern in our office last summer too through the same program. So they were with us for about 6 weeks, and super excited that
Nice.
he'll be joining us again this coming summer. So yeah,
Awesome.
it's really
Yeah.
fun, and it's a really incredible way, I think, for the team to also be able to kind of share their experience as well. It's not typical where we have someone that's kind of new to the industry, super excited and hungry, asking all these questions. So it's
Yeah.
really cool to kind of see that whole experience
Well, it gets
come
you
full
excited
circle.
too,
Yeah,
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
it? Like it just brings the excitement up to another level of
yeah,
being in their industry when you see their eyes get big
yeah,
and they just seem like, wow, this is cool. It just really just sparks a fire in you.
It
yeah. It's
really
exciting.
does. Yeah. Well, I love planter boxes, so I mean, I hope y'all are selling those or something wherever you are, because that would be an awesome thing to make. I'm going to ask the next question, and we'll phrase it up as this too. We know that you have this strong background in construction management and business development, totally, all of it. What advice and insight would you offer to aspiring professionals looking to enter the construction industry? And I mean, like, what advice either to them or leaders on how to do the community involvement like you're doing? And that might be, you mentioned ACE, the ACE program, get involved there. But are there other ways that they need to seek out to get involved with in order to follow the same path that you've taken?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the biggest thing that I would say is stay curious and ask questions. So I
Mhm.
think for me, like my background actually, I came from the cosmetology world and I knew nothing about construction 10 years ago. And so I was sitting in these meetings, as just like writing down, like, what is a COI? What's an RFI? And like Googling these things like behind the scenes, and then asking questions, right? Asking the project managers, like, hey, like, can you explain this to me? And I think that's like the most important part, is just ask questions, and there's no silly question. Like
Mhm.
any question that you ask not only is going to help you get that insight, but also whoever's around you, maybe the person sharing that,
Mhm.
answering the question, they'll also be learning something as well. So I think no question is a silly question. So I just encourage people, ask them. And I always say that your network is your net worth. And so the
Mhm.
more you
Okay.
can, expose yourself to events. And I know it's hard. Like sometimes I
Mhm.
even struggle, and I'm like, like I'm going to this event. I have this incredible opportunity to, network, but it's hard sometimes to push yourself to go there. And then it's overwhelming at times too, right? You go and
Yeah.
there's like 100 people, and you're like, okay, like what am I supposed to do here?
Shut
So
down.
yeah, I encourage you, just like set a small goal, right? Like I'm going to talk to 3 people today,
Yeah.
right? And then like follow up with that, because if you go to these events, it's incredible, but the part two, I think, is following up and like ensuring that you build that connection, right? It's kind of like a
Mhm.
friendship. If you
Yes.
want to keep that friend, right, you check in with them, you meet
Yeah.
with coffee every once in a while, you have lunch. So I think kind of the same way when you meet people like at these events, right, and
Yeah.
connect with them, and you'll find the people that you kind of have a vibe with and your energies really sync. And I think, right, like building and growing with them is really important.
Those are great
Yeah.
tips. Thank you.
Yeah. So share some insights. We talked before the podcast started about AI, which really interests me. Like the minute it was out, I was playing
You
with it
love
like
that,
immediately.
Christy.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm always trying to make it do things that it doesn't do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm constantly pushing the
Does it
envelope.
say no, no, no? I can't do that.
Oh, sometimes it tells me you've exhausted me. I can't talk about this anymore, which is hilarious. And I
Yeah.
really like strive to do that, so that's funny. I'm very curious, so that's probably what's gotten me where I'm at today. Can you share some insight on how the implement of AI technology and drones? Now, what I think is very interesting about what you're doing is that you've integrated drones into your TriCore panels and what you're doing with them through your manufacturing facility. So how has that enhanced safety measures at TriCore panels? How has AI technology and drones been able to help that? This is kind of a two-part question, so I'm just going to stop there.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think this tools, and I always say like we're like so lucky to be alive right now because of everything that's around us. It's like there's just gold everywhere and we just get to pick
Yeah.
and choose like what do we want
Which
to
goal do we
play
want?
with, right?
Yeah.
And so AI has been really cool for us at TriCore Panels because it's helped us in all avenues. There's a lot of softwares that have come out recently, for example, that have helped with estimating processes where you can plug in an architectural plan set. It'll actually go through and read everything and, highlight like, okay, there's X amount of square foot of, this material. And it actually makes like a list for you, right? So it
Yeah.
expedites a lot of the processes of figuring out like square footage when it comes to estimation is just, one example that I can share
Yeah.
with you. Another
And
one
that's
that
a
we
huge
use.
time saver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's like it's really big and it really works, right? I think I forget the exact percentage of, but it's very, very accurate,
It
like
is.
extremely accurate, which is incredible. Another tool that we use is um, you can make inspection reports as well with AI now. So
Nice.
you can like walk around and take a video, and this will actually turn the video into like a report for you. So that saves a lot of
Nice.
time for
Yes.
people on the field. For example, like it takes half an hour to 45 minutes, probably do those daily logs, reporting, all these things. So a tool like this gives them, that kind of time back. That's almost 2 hours a week, per person. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
figuring
lot.
out like what are the tools and resources that can help. And there's a lot of trial and error, right?
Yeah.
Especially now with
Yeah.
like everything coming out new.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you're married to one system, right? So
Right.
like test it out. Encourage you to ask for trials, right? Because these things are also expensive. So you want to make sure that you're actually getting the most bang for your buck. So do the trials, right?
Yeah.
See if it works out. I always say test it on a project that you've already had so you can compare it to your own data set, right? And you can kind of, see if what works for you. We've incorporated LiDAR technology and
Yeah.
drones. So that
Nice.
helps a lot with field measurement. So you can scan a building. It avoids having to use like any kind of equipment like boom lifts, scissor lifts, or even
That's
going
helping
on
with safety,
scaffolding.
right?
Exactly. And
Yes.
so, and it in time too. So for example, like to do field measurements, sometimes it could take a couple days,
Right.
right? And then you may have to go back and forth and, maybe a
Yeah.
piece was
You
missed, for
forgot something.
example.
Yes. Been
Exactly.
there, done that.
Exactly. So this kind of just helps systemize and like make the process flow a little bit smoother.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the second part of this question is, what are some specific safety hazards that have been identified and mitigated through these technologies? I think we kind of answered those, but yeah, just the fact that you don't have to go back, you don't have to be up on a scissor lift, you don't have to climb scaffolding to go get that measurement that you forgot or to go get the initial measurement. I think that's probably a good answer for that. So let's move on to a better one. I think Angela's got another question for you.
I do. And we're talking about kind of the future of AI. And since you just mentioned you've been to AI conferences, so you
Yes.
probably have a great answer for
She
us
gave
that,
us an AI
Well, I know.
tip earlier.
for podcasting. But seeing as though you know all about the AI technology and drones, what do you envision in the future for our industry construction, and the potential advancements and innovation on the horizon? What do you see happening?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's been a really unique time to be in the construction industry. I remember 10 years ago, like everything was paper, right? And it was an interesting shift to see like people going from these printed blueprints to the
Mm-hmm.
iPad.
Uh-huh.
And there was a
Uh-huh.
lot of uh, challenges, I think, that came a little bit with this industry of accepting it, right?
Yeah.
So I think these tools are incredible, but I think with our industry, the most important is the education part of it. So
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
teaching people like what impact it does, right? And sharing like the why behind like reason, like, hey, we're going to be using, this system now, let's say the iPads instead of the blueprints, right? And like
Yeah.
the why, right? So you don't have to drive back and, print a new set if there's an issue. So the same thing with, let's say, this drone and LiDAR technology, right? So
Right.
let's say we forgot to do a piece of that measurement, instead of having to schedule another lift to go out there, making sure we have, the manpower to go out there, making sure the other jobs are covered. This saves a lot of time and resources when it comes to that avenue. And I think being able to plan ahead, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's another really big impact of having
Yeah.
these kinds of tools, because you have you're forecasting ahead of time. And I think us, for being a subcontractor, gives a lot of insight to the general contractor of like, what our game plan is, how we're going to approach this, and gives them a data set as well to kind of lean on with a different technology versus by
Oh
like
yeah.
eyes.
I love the education part because I remember back in the day, in my family business, we had I think we were implementing just changing the AutoCAD system to a different
Mm-hmm.
plan, and that was really, or having some of our architects go from drawing them
Yeah.
out to AutoCAD was a huge challenge. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is, and really the key is education, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
And you have
being
to pitch
gentle
it.
to
And you have to
them.
pitch it to your teams
Yes.
Yeah.
in a way that they
Exactly.
understand why you are considering it, right? I
Yes.
think that's the key. Some of these leaders, they will just adapt something new and then they don't get the message down through their teams. And then you've
Yeah.
got this idea of, I don't want to do that. Right? Why
Yeah.
are we doing this? Nobody's
Yeah.
explained this to me. I think this is stupid. But
Hmm.
when you do it with the here's why we're going to do this, and this is how it's going to help you in your job. This is
Exactly.
not going to eliminate your job. I think that's a fear too of the workers, right?
Yes.
They're thinking, oh, if I quit drawing these and there's a computer for it, I'm going
Yeah.
to lose my job. No, you're going to be more secure because we're going to be able to do more blueprints and you're
Yes.
going to be able to get paid more. So I think it's really important for leaders to do that. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that, Angela. It is change is a challenge
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
it
the
is.
leader is not pitching why,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a sales pitch. You're not only you only have to sell. You don't just have to sell externally. You have to sell in your team
Yeah.
internally.
a
But
hundred
wouldn't you,
percent.
just one more comment, because I think this is important, and Michelle will probably agree, is it's not, it's also education, but it's also understanding everyone
Yeah.
learns differently.
Hmm.
Yes,
That is so key.
it is.
And being, knowing that that person might learn it quicker than the next person. So,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
being patient with that, or providing different avenues of learning,
yes,
right? Because
yes.
I'm a very visual person. So if you were to tell me to sit down and read a book and then for me to learn it, it might be rough for me,
Yeah.
right? But if you sat me down and showed me what you were doing and just went, I could watch step by step. Oh,
Yeah.
that makes all the sense in the world, right?
Yep.
So good
That kind
point. I'm
of
glad
leads
you
into
mentioned that.
so another tool that we use to help with this. It's called Loom. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh,
Loom.
Yes,
I
Yeah, but
yes.
we
have.
use that
Yeah,
all
I
the
started
time
using
because
it.
it
Yeah.
can you can cater to kind of everyone, right? Because I'm speaking, right? I'm actually have my screen up showing you the product, and there's a
Yeah.
Huh.
transcript of what I'm saying, right? So it kind of targets everyone's learning of styles, right?
Yes.
And gives them an opportunity to go back and look at it and like review watch. Sometimes maybe someone has to watch it once and they get it. Someone has to watch it 3 times before
Yeah.
they fully grasp it all. So I think
Love that.
communication and like understanding is really important. And if we have time, I just want to share a little bit
Yeah.
about like how we communicate these kinds of things to our team.
Yeah, yeah. We are
Is
we're running close to time, so
Okay, quick little
yes.
just snippet is we
Yes.
introduced and we run our company on EOS. It's the
Yes.
Oh,
entrepreneurial operating system. And that was like the biggest game changer, I would say, for us, going from this mom and pop style like company to this corporation now. And each department, every single person in the company is a part of a weekly meeting with their team in which they have an opportunity to go over their weekly measurables, their weekly goals or quarterly goals, which we call rocks, which are all tied to our 1 year plan. Gives them an opportunity to share highlights of anyone in their team that they've seen, and also an opportunity for cascading messages. So let's say the leadership team comes up with, something that we're working on. We put it in exactly, the why, what we're doing, what the steps look like, and then
Nice.
that message gets cascaded to every single department in the company and organization.
Nice.
So it's really an incredible tool. It's been so amazing for us. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has, knows like what their responsibility is
Right.
in our pie, which makes everyone kind of work smarter and row the
Yeah.
boat in the same direction. So
And they're bought in, right?
yes,
They're
Yeah.
bought in and they feel like they're part of something instead of just working for someone,
exactly.
right? They're invested. Well, I wish we could talk more because you have brought a plethora of information to our audience and to Angela and I.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for being on today. Because you are such an amazing human and because you're running an amazing company, let our audience know exactly how to get a hold of you, where to find you, your website maybe, just wherever that you would like to see them connect with you.
Yeah, thank you both so much for having me. This was amazing and I had so much fun.
Cool.
If you would love to stay in contact with me, it's easy to find me on social media. I think I have a unique name. Type in Misha Homara. I think there's one and only. So you can find me on LinkedIn, and happy to connect. Our website, we have Instagram. So all of our social media, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us
Yes,
today,
thank
Misha. We
you.
really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.